The Senate will now be in session. All rise for the arrival of the Honorable Senate President and the Senators of the Republic of the Philippines.
The Senate keeps its promise of legislating measures uplifting the lives of Filipinos. On Valentine's Day, the Chamber approved on second reading the proposed 100 pesos daily minimum wage increase act, acting on years-long clamor for better wages in the country.
Unanimous po ang suporta sa ating panukala, itaas ang daily minimum wage ng ating mga manggagawa. Saktong-sakto na itong araw na ito is Valentine's Day. Ito na po ang ultimate regalo natin sa ating mga manggagawa. Nagkakaisa ang Senado para sa kapakanan ng manggagawang Pilipino. Gaya po ng sabi ko dati, naririnig ng Senado ang panawagan ng bayan para sa disenteng sahod. At hindi lang tayo nakikinig, tayo ay umaksyon rin.
Sa kabila po ng nagmamahalang mga bilihin at gastusin, tama po ang direksyon kung saan patungo ang ating institusyon na balang araw ay maiangat natin ang buwan ng sweldo ng ating mga manggagawa hanggang ito po ay maging tunay na living wage.
The Senate is also set to approve on third and final reading the proposed Eddie Garcia law, which seeks to protect movie and television industry workers.
This bill is truly something to celebrate, as we recognize the vital role of the film and television industry, not only in providing entertainment, but creating art that aims to reflect our people's struggles and aspirations.
In the plenary, Senate President Zubiri also rallied his colleagues to address the lack of the healthcare facilities, equipment, and health professionals in the country's top tourism destinations.
It's been a perennial problem, and it's about time that it has a whole of Senate approach. This also, of course, would address the local needs of the communities and the tourism needs, and both for domestic and foreign tourism.
In a manifestation, Senator Francis Tol Tolentino reported to the plenary the developments in the case of abused House Help Elvie Vergara, earlier probed by the Committee on Justice and Human Rights.
Because of the work of the members of the committee, including the entire membership of this chamber, Manang Vergara just won her initial case and was awarded a huge amount by the Department of Labor. Forthcoming, Mr. President, would be the resolution coming from the Department of Justice. This just goes to show, Mr. President, that the Senate is doing its best.
Meanwhile, Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa sponsored in plenary the bill creating a forensic DNA database in the Philippine National Police. In a privileged speech, Senate Majority Leader Joel Villanueva called on members of Congress to address the country's most pressing concerns instead of bickering and pushing for the Fake People's Initiative. Senator Raffy Tulfo called for a probe on the irregularities at the Bureau of Customs following the discovery of smuggled luxury sports cars. Senator Pia Cayetano also took to the plenary to call out government officials for pushing pro-tobacco industry agenda during the recent COP10 in Panama, where the Philippines received its 5th Dirty Ashtray Award. As these happened, Senate committees resumed their inquiries on efforts to amend the 1987 Constitution. During the resumption of the subcommittee deliberations on resolution of both houses number 6, practitioners, business chambers, and constitutionalists weighed in on the proposed changes to the Charter's economic provisions against the Public Service Act and other existing laws opening sectors to foreign investments. Senators, meanwhile, grilled proponents of the so-called People's Initiative on their objective in calling for charter amendments at the third hearing of the Committee on Electoral Reforms and People's Participation. The Committee on Ways and Means wrapped up public hearings on the proposed Passive Income and Financial Intermediary Taxation Act, or PIFITA. Panel Chairperson Senator Win Gatchalian ordered the creation of a technical working group to thresh out provisions of the bill before it is brought to plenary. Senator Alan Peter Cayetano backed the provision of the funds and support for the modernization of the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology during the hearing of the Committee on Science and Technology. Leading oversight discussions on the rehabilitation of the fire-gutted Manila Central Post Office, Senate President pro tempore Loren Legarda stressed the importance of sustainable conservation strategies to ensure the resilience of heritage structures in the country. The Committee on Migrant Workers resumed its inquiry on the government's efforts to aid overseas Filipino workers who fell victims to scams and illegal recruitment. Continuing its analysis of the Philippine score in the 2022 Program for International Student Assessment, the Committee on Basic Education looked at factors affecting the performance of Filipino learners. The Committee on Foreign Relations tackled the issues and implications of the Philippines' ratification of the UNESCO 2005 Convention on the Protection and Promotion of the Diversity of Cultural Expression. The panel also discussed an agreement on the establishment of the Global Green Growth Institute office in the Philippines. The Committee on Justice and Human Rights scrutinized applicants for Filipino citizenship. Outside the Senate Spouses Foundation Incorporated, led by Audrey T. Zubiri, donated cash for the repair of a home for neglected and sick elderly women in Bulacan.